Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is going to be something that is very, very personal to me, which is why I'm wearing my glasses. Whenever I talk about this particular thing, I get very, very upset because of how much it's impacted my life. And anyone who has BPD or has experienced it, I think you know what I'm about to talk about. Two letters, sorry, that will send shockwaves down the entire borderline community. Two letters that we are very, very familiar with, and two letters that seem to haunt us to this day whenever someone brings it up. FP, or the dreaded favorite person. If you are well versed in the borderline community, or even know a little bit about BPD, you will know that these two words are the best and the worst words you ever hear. So what is a favorite person? Everyone has a favorite person. With borderline, it is basically the person who you will center your entire life around and is the object of your pleasure and displeasure. For those of you who aren't in the BPD community or aren't along the BPD spectrum, I liken this to an influencer of your life. You know, think of someone you really look up to, a mentor. Think of a mentor and put that up, times that intensity up by 200, 300%. This favorite person is someone who dominates your every thought, your every waking moment, and you will do anything and everything to please this person. This favorite person could be a coworker, could be a friend, could be, most of the times it's your partner or your lover, and you will bend over backward to this person. You will stop at nothing to get this person's attention, including doing things that, you know, aren't exactly the best, saying things that aren't the best, or completely dedicating your entire life to this person, and basically adapting every single behavior they have, every single thought they have, every opinion that they have, in order to not be abandoned by this person. Because if you are abandoned by this person, it is game over. You lose. Good day, sir. Shout out to anyone who got that reference. So favorite person. Yeah. So in my life, for me, my favorite person has always been my partner. My partner has always been my favorite person, and I have gone to very big lengths to avoid being left by my favorite person, which, of course, as you know, BPD, like I said in the first video, self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you try to grab onto someone and not, you know, not have them leave you, the more you will push them away and the more they will leave you. Yeah, it's not a good feeling. The best way I can describe being borderline and having a favorite person is you are in the backseat of a car and you are driving it at the same time. I don't know how else to describe it, and I think a lot of people with the condition will agree with me. So how do you survive having a favorite person? I wish I had the answer to that. I do not. I do not have the answer to that. There are times where I've been able to kind of curb my BPD, in terms of setting boundaries with people. But there's been a lot of things that happened in my life recently that have severely impacted my ability to deal with borderline. Which brings me to the second point I really want to talk about that kind of goes hand in hand with having a favorite person, which is lack of identity. This is also something that can really impact an individual's life with borderline personality disorder. Now, everyone has identity issues, don't get me wrong. Everyone struggles to some extent with who they are, what they want to be when they grow up, etc., etc. But for individuals with borderline, again, this is times 20. You never know who you are, and your values and your morals will be constantly shifting. Imagine waking up one day and having this set idea of who you are, and then the next day you will have a completely different set of morals and values. And this is even worse when your favorite person isn't exactly healthy for you and is not exactly the best person with the best morals and values, because your identity will shift and you will say and do things just to keep some people around. The way I always look at BPD and identity is you're like a chameleon. So you are very, very hypersensitive, and you can read the room very well. And you can pick up on, the general attitude of the room. And you will try to fit in the best you can. And because you don't have an identity, or you don't know what your morals and your values are, because they're always shifting, you will shift to fit the sense of the room. And this can really hurt you. And this even makes you even more confused the day after. You wake up and you're like, wait, did I say this? Did I do this? Just yesterday I thought, these were my values, and now I've done something and said things in complete contradiction to these values because I wanted to fit in the room. A perfect example of kind of identity confusion is, are you that person who is always the life of the party, but then, the second you leave, your mood completely shifts, or like a snap of a finger, and you're very, very serious and critical and logically thinking outside of situations like that. But once you get into a party with people, you're all of a sudden mimicking everything that's going on in that situation. Yeah. So I'm gonna do it. I'm going to tell you guys a very personal story about how borderline personality disorder and this lack of identity and shifting morals really, really impacted me. And by no means am I a good person. But hopefully through this story and this video, I can help other people with borderline seek help for their identity crisis before you do something you really regret in the long run. Right, so throughout my entire life, I really wanted to help people. I really wanted to help people. That was the one identity, essential piece of identity that I really, really clung on to. That was the one thing that made me feel like myself. I really wanted to help people, so I got into mental health. I got my degree, and I was on the way. And then I didn't fall. I voluntarily agreed to be part of a specific group of people. And I was part of this Facebook chat. And not a lot of things that were being said weren't exactly the nicest things. And I'm sorry, this is very, very, and I wanted to fit in so bad, and my fear of rejection just went into overdrive, and I would say things that at my very core heart of hearts I knew wasn't what I wanted to be saying. I made a lot of really bad decisions. I made a lot of jokes that I wasn't necessarily good with myself, and I really began, the more I did this, the more I began to really question and hate myself. I really did. And again, it was like being in the back seat and watching yourself drive. It didn't help that I had a favorite person who was part of this group. And let's just say it came back to really haunt me. You know, the fear of not fitting in or not belonging is an issue to everyone. But with someone with borderline personality disorder, it is worse than the fear of death. Or it is the fear of death. Your brain will constantly tell you if you do not fit in, you will die. And without proper treatment, it is like a runaway train. So to anyone watching this who really suffers from identity confusion, who really suffers from a lack of sense of who they are, and for those people who consider themselves a chameleon and kind of like believe what other people believe and don't recognize their own set of morals and values, please be careful and please seek help. You do not want this to become a runaway train when you do not know who you are and you will say anything and do anything to fit in. Trust me. Lack of identity is one of the scariest things out there. Waking up every day with no sense of self is one of the scariest things out there. And having someone else shape your morals and ideals and characteristics is one of the worst things out there. So please, 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 if you or anyone else knows someone who has borderline personality disorder and they have these identity problems, which most likely they will, encourage them to seek help. Encourage them to be surrounded by good people with good morals, good values. So even if they start to become a chameleon, even if they start to adopt mannerisms of other people, at least they're adapting good values. I am in the process of going into therapy to find myself again. Where I live, there is a very specialized therapy for borderline, and it's not offered where I live. So I'm gonna have to go elsewhere, but I would like to fix myself and become a better person. And I never want to be put in a situation again where I'm saying and doing things on autopilot just to fit in somewhere. I'll say this, I might not know who I am, but after everything that's happened, I definitely know who I'm not. And hopefully someone watching this, I hope it helps you out. I hope it pushes you to find yourself before other people make you something you don't want to be. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video.